You may start your landing. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zetas Prevails. We're doing another Faction Essentials video today, and this time on Imperial Troopers. This is one of the more requested guides, because my previous Troopers guide actually had a lot of hits, but it didn't include Moff Gideon or Dark Trooper, so we're going to incorporate them into our strategy just a little bit. Moff Gideon is on the very periphery of Imperial Troopers, though, frankly, guys. He's almost not part of the squad, to be honest. You want a pretty specific team. You want Piet to be fastest. You're going to be running on turn meter gain, and if I'm going to show you guys how to do the math, how to do everything, how to set your squad up so that if you do it right, your opponent's teams that you're countering with troopers never actually take a turn. Yes, indeed, I am that fancy. So before we jump in, just want to remind you guys to hit that thumbs up button or leave a comment in the comment section, something to help us mount the algorithm. Hit that subscribe button, etc. Really helps the channel out. Would really appreciate it. So what teams do troopers beat? We're going to do that. We're going to actually, beyond this, I'll show you the math, the formulas, everything like that. I'm going to show you the modding and everything. The nice thing about the team is that you can have Piet as the fastest. He needs to be pretty quick, and then the rest of them can be pretty slow, actually. You don't have to put much investment into them, and they're a squad that doesn't need that many Zetas. It's a pretty nice team. So we're going to talk about the Zetas, the modding, the formulas, and then I'm going to show you practical examples of how it works, and we'll talk about a couple different characters that can modify the team just a little bit, etc. So what teams do troopers beat? Troopers beat teams that allow turn meter gain, which means that, like, Hux will shut you down. They want to avoid teams with days on them that are going to be able to go first. So if, like, Bo-Katan is unworldly fast, if she's ridiculously fast and she can put days on you somehow, that's probably a no-go. Like Lord Vader is probably, in general, not going to work. I know that people say have the comp with Shock T that works, but that's only against really bad Lord Vader teams. So there's really, the ceiling is going to mostly be Darth Revan. Now you can take down some Supreme Leader Kylo teams if they don't have a full First Order complement, or if they don't have Hux on them. Some people don't put Hux with them. If you have bounty hunters that you're facing, a lot of times that's going to work really well. First Order teams without Hux at all, including Supreme Leader Kylo, like I just said, and then Separatist teams without Nest. That's just scratching the surface. I'm going to actually show you guys an example of how I took down a pretty bad Resistance team with my alt, but you guys will see just how low level your characters can be and still have an effective troopers team. So let's before we get into all the formulas, you can see the formulas here. Let's go into the modding just a little bit. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this for just a sec so you can understand. So the fastest trooper you're going to want is Piet. And if you don't have Piet, then Stark has worked in the past. He used to be the go-to fast guy, but Piet's going to be the one. So you get 20 speed from Veer's lead, and it has to be Veer's as the leader. You get 20 speed, and that's going to make your X. So, you know, your Piet is going to be, what, if he's 300 speed, it's going to be 320 with Veer's. And then, so if you want to figure out how fast the second character is going to be, because you need a closed turn meter gap so that no one can actually take a turn in between, then you're going to just be 80% of whatever that X is, so that 0.8 times X, and then minus that Veer's speed, and that's the minimum speed of the next lowest trooper, which is generally going to be Stark. So that's basically how it works. Let's actually, you know what, let's call it audible. I'll show you guys all the modding and everything, but I want to show you an example, a practical example of how it works and what we're trying to accomplish here. So let's go to some video real quick. Now, this is my alternate account, and you can see Veers is gear 11. Piet is relic, what, 7 or 8, something. He's fast, and he's relic. Dark Trooper's relic 2, and then we have gear 9 on Stark and Range Trooper. So not much investment. You can see the team that they're taking out. Now it's not like the very best team, but it's a Finn team with all relic 5 except for relic 7 Scav, and as long as you are faster, this works really, really nicely. So I'm going to show you guys the idea. The whole thing is, if you can go first with Piet, he's going to give all your entire team a bunch of turn meter. Now, once you get turn meter here, so Piet's going to go, everyone's going to gain 20% turn meter. One of them is from his undispellable buff. So every time you give a character a buff, then they gain, or an Imperial Trooper character a buff, then they gain 20% turn, or 10% turn meter, and Piet actually gives 2 buffs to everyone. So everyone gains that Imperial, whatever, the locked buff there, and then he's going to give his mark thing to Dark Trooper. Once he does that, everyone else gains turn meter. Now watch the blue bars here, guys. That's the important part. Once you gain all that turn meter, Stark is going to go next, because apparently I've put some decent speed on him even at relic, or even at gear 9. So he's going to actually do this buff. He's already given everyone, because he took a turn, he gave everyone an extra stack of the buff there, and he's going to then give everyone 2 more buffs, so they gain another 20% turn meter. So watch that blue bar. Now every time someone is at 100% turn meter, then we're guaranteed that no one else is going to gain turn meter, at least on the other team. And so the idea is to just keep a continuous 100% turn meter loop. So Veers goes, he calls to assist, and we take someone out. Now notice everyone here has max turn meter, because as I'll show you in the kit, under General Veers, once you take someone out, then the entire team gains a bunch of turn meter on top of that. So we took someone out, and it's just a momentum thing. So we're going to punch Resistance Trooper. Oh, he's gone. Everyone else gained a bunch of turn meter. Now we're going to shoot at Poe Dameron, and we're just continuing to gain all this turn meter. And the goal, though, we're going to eventually get to the point where no one has enough turn meter. You can see even right now, only Range Trooper and Dark Trooper have it. Now, Dark Trooper has an option to buff everyone and kind of loop his turn meter around a little bit, or he can punch someone, and if he takes that person out, then everyone's going to gain a bunch of turn meter. So he punches Poe, and now look at this. Look at all the turn meter that everyone's gained. Meanwhile, Holdo and Finn have not gained an ounce of turn meter yet. So we're going to go in and shoot Holdo, apparently. We can do it. Let's do it. Do it. Punch Holdo. Excellent. Keep punching her. Wonderful. And now we can take out Finn. And the whole team did not take a single turn. You can see we got the max banners there, and it works just like a charm. So let's go to the game. I'll show you guys how to set the team up real quick. Whoa, madness. Why are we here? We're in the game. Madness. Okay. So here's the team, guys. We want Veers as lead, Dark Trooper, Admiral Piet. Those are the triumvirate. We need those guys before we need anyone else. And then Stark and Range Trooper are going to be the ones that we want, usually. So General Veers has a few different things going on. So he's got his AoE that you want him to go last, because his AoE is going to tie everything together. The lead is going to be, so they gain offense, that's great. They gain 20 speed, that's part of the formula that we have, and gain 10% turn meter whenever they gain a buff. So that's huge. That leadership is why the entire team works. And then the unique, you also give everyone. Let's see. So whenever an enemy is defeated while Veers is active, Imperial Trooper allies gain offense up for 2 turns. So that actually, if you defeat someone, you gain another 10% turn meter if he's the lead, which he should be. Then he gains off. So they gain offense up. They gain 50% turn meter and recover protection. So you actually, if you get hurt a little bit and you defeat enough characters, you can actually get all of your banners back. So then everyone else gains crit chance and everything. But the biggest thing here is the 10% turn meter. In reality, it's 60% turn meter every time you get a kill with the team. He needs to be slowest because you want his AoE to be the last. Dark Trooper is the one you want to have a ton of damage on. Tons of damage, as much as you can. He doesn't need to be super fast, though he's already naturally decently fast. So my Dark Trooper, I think he is operating, he's either going to be like 3rd or 4th on the team. I don't know if I operate exactly on the formula that I gave you guys. I think, you know, he needs to go 3rd or 4th on the team, one way or another. And otherwise, you don't want a ton of speed. You just want a ton of damage. You can see I just have offense everywhere on him. Now, I don't have my very maxed out offense stuff, but I do have an offense arrow, an offense triangle, offense cross, and, you know, the protection, whatever. We just want as much offense secondaries as we can as well. And the good goal, so he's at relic 8 right now. If you want to take out some of the really tough teams, you need to have him right around 11,000 offense. I know that this is a little low compared to some accounts, but the idea is just pure offense, because he can't crit unless he meets certain circumstances, and he normally doesn't meet those circumstances. So he's just going to punch really hard with his basic. And remember, his AoE can crit, and that can cause issues against Darth Revan. But for the most part, what you want is his. You just want him to be able to do a lot of damage, and that's basically it. You don't really need his Zeta. I would say that his is the least important of all of the important ones. It's still very important, because if you need it, you really need it. It is a really important one sometimes, but usually you're not going to use it. Admiral Piet is the guy who you want to be super fast. Mine is pretty quick at 343, remember, plus 20 speed from Veer's lead is going to give him 363 speed, which is going to be faster than the majority of Darth Revan teams, or characters, whatever. So, things to remember. The Imperial Ambition is an important one to give. You give Inevitable Failure to Dark Trooper, and then every time he does a basic after that, he calls Dark Trooper to assist. That is really, really important. So you need to give him this one, and then the other important one, his lead you don't usually use. You just have it maxed out because he is a capital ship commander, and that helps with your ship. But the other one is, and this one is a vital Zeta, I would say. So the Veer's Zeta, you have to have it. You have to have that one. You also need the Emperor's Trap. These are equally important. These are the two most important Zetas. The final one on Piet is probably not something you need. It's just the AoE that you rarely need. It just causes fear sometimes. But here's the thing about this one, guys. It's the Emperor's Trap, and it gives stacks. That's the stack every time. Plus 6% offense and potency per stack. That's the one that I was showing you, the locked buff that the entire team is getting. And so we have, if Darth Vader's an ally, he doesn't really go. But otherwise, I mean, Piet used to be really good with Vader trying to take down like Rey teams before the nerf. Anyways, the idea is whenever an Empire ally begins a turn or attacks out of turn, all Empire allies gain a stack of this. So if they take a turn or if they attack out of turn, so if Veers, for instance, calls everyone to assist, then everyone is going to gain. He calls everyone to assist. They attack out of turn. That's 4 characters that attack out of turn. Though a lot of times, so Piet's gonna shoot his basic, and that means that Dark Trooper is gonna punch a second time. So everyone gains another stack. So you gain a minimum from the Veers lead. You also gain offense up. You're gonna gain a minimum of like 70 to 80% turn meter just from doing that AoE. Just from being able to do that before, even if you don't kill someone, the whole rest of the team is going to gain a ton of turn meter because they're all gaining a ton of Emperor's Trap, and because Emperor's Trap counts as a buff at the start of all of them, then that gives everyone 10% turn meter minimum. So, anyways, this can't be overstated. This is a very, very important one to have. You can't run the team without this Zeta. So Piet needs to be fast, and otherwise doesn't really matter what else he does. Colonel Stark is the next guy. He's going to be the one that we replace at some point. I feel like he's the one who's the most replaceable. But the big thing for him is his Zeta is nice. You don't have to have it, but I mean it does reduce your opponent's turn meter. The biggest thing for him, though, is his first special. It gives everyone crit chance up and crit damage up. So that's 2 buffs for everyone, and it's a lot of extra damage on top of that. But that means that when he goes, he'll take a turn, and under the under the Emperor's Trap, he's giving everyone 10% turn meter because of that buff, and then he's giving everyone else another 20% turn meter because of his 2 buffs, and so he's giving everyone 30% turn meter and a lot of extra damage. He's also the guy you want to bridge speed with. He's the guy who needs to be the next fastest. So even with my Piet at really fast speeds, my Stark only needs about 106 speed, and I think he doesn't even need this much to be able to go next. So, I mean, like I said, really pretty easy to be able to meet the speed requirements as long as your Piet is pretty quick. Finally, Range Trooper, he has a couple interesting aspects. Number one, he has this power in numbers. So, while he's active, Imperial Troopers have a 50% chance to call another buffed Imperial Trooper ally to assist when they use an ability. So that's the thing. He is also calling someone to assist 50% of the time just by being there, just by hanging out, which gives everyone another stack of buffs, which gives everyone an extra 10% turn meter. And then on top of that, when he does take a turn, it gives everyone protection up, and it gives them retribution. So that's another 2 buffs. So whenever he goes first, whenever he goes, he's going to give them all the Emperor's Trap plus 10% turn meter, and then he's giving everyone another 20% turn meter, including protection up and retribution. Now, if you're facing a team with HK47, you don't want to use that ability because that ability is going to stop your entire team from gaining turn meter, because HK47 completely stops that in its tracks. So, Range Trooper, you can have him at really low gear levels, and that power and numbers thing just on its own is super amazing. So that's how you mod the team. Finally, you have Veers. He needs to be the slowest, and you can see I don't have good mods on him. Not at all. Like, they're all just pretty garbage. I have offense arrow because he can be dirt. He can be so slow. He can be way slower than this even. And you can put crit damage or whatever. Just throw whatever you want on him. Like, he's the guy who you just want him to go at some point. Some people talk about wanting to put a lot of crit chance on him and stuff to be able to get him feared so that you don't. In 3v3, it's more important. We're not really going to talk about that, but that's more advanced, I would say, than we're going to cover here. But keep in mind, when he does his AoE, he's inflicting ability block potentially, and then it calls all Imperial Trooper allies to assist, dealing 40% less damage. So, apparently I was wrong though. It doesn't give everyone offense up. So it'll call everyone to assist, and then of course Range Trooper is going to potentially call someone else to assist, and it can be a huge mess. Like, you get a ton of turn meter from this. So he goes last because everyone is going to go. They're going to be building turn meter, but then he can do his last barrage. Everyone goes in and punches and shoots and does all their stuff. Even if they don't kill anyone, a lot of times they gain enough turn meter to restart that turn meter loop and get infinite turns. So, that being said, folks, let's actually jump into some of the action. I'll show you a more practical way of doing things. Well, before we even do that, though, let's go back to the thumbnails, and I'll show you the math of this one more time. So, you want the fastest trooper speed, plus 20, whatever. You guys can go look at it. It's on my Discord server in the infographics section as well if you want a closer look at this or send this to your friends. But here's the practical example. So if Piet is 314 speed, he's actually 334 speed. 80% of that is going to be 267. 267 minus 20, because of that Veers lead, means that if Stark goes next, Stark can be as slow as 247 speed if Piet is 314. So it's not bad. Not bad at all to be able to bridge it. And as far as turn order goes, as long as one trooper is faster than the other, then you don't have to worry about them like skipping each other in terms of turn order. So Piet is going to go first, and he gives everyone 20% turn meter. Stark goes, he gives everyone 30% turn meter. Dark goes, he gives everyone probably 20 to 10 to 20 turn meter. Range is going to go next. He gives everyone 30% turn meter. And then if you need anything else, Veers can do his AoE and give everyone another, 50, 60, 70% turn meter. And that's the turn order that you want. Remember, my alt doesn't adhere to that. My alt, because my alt has low gear levels, then it matters. It matters less, really, as long as your Piet goes first, and then you can bridge that speed. As long as the next fastest character can bridge that speed, the gap, then your opponent is not going to be able to get a turn. So let's go to the videos now, and I'll show you. We'll walk through this fight one more time, and you guys can understand how the turn meter loop works at that point. Okay, here we are. I'm not going to pause it much here, but I do want you guys to pay attention to our turn meter gain and the starting turn meter for everyone. So again, this is my alt, so we're gear 9 on Stark and range, and then everyone else, a couple relics, and Veers is only gear 11. So we're going to kill the squishiest person because we want all that turn meter gain from Veers to help us. And like you can see here, Veers went earlier than other characters, but we killed her. Now everyone's at max turn meter, of course, because we did the AoE and we took someone out. So everyone's at max turn meter. We get the 30% turn meter from range trooper, and we're going to just keep going here. Take out the next guy, just focus on the next one, and if we had Stark's Zeta, we could actually be actively reducing our opponent's turn meter as well to get him, if it took a while to be able to do this, but we could maintain our loop of turn meter gain, then we could actually reduce their turn meter quite a bit through Stark. So once again, we're just gaining all the turn meter, and every time we kill someone, we gain momentum, and we're also doing extra damage based off of those stacks that everyone has. So there's that one. Let's actually go to the Troopers one against Darth Revan. This is on my main account, and we're faster here. And note that we have HK-47 to take down as well. So we have Range Trooper here, but Range Trooper is not going to use his special because it shuts down our turn meter gain. So once again, we have Piet. We hand the buff to Dark Trooper here, and we have to hit Sith Empire Trooper. Now Stark goes. He's going to give everyone 30% turn meter. So look at Piet up top here, up at the very top. So he's already gained 10% from Stark taking a turn. He got that Imperial Trap buff, but then Stark is going to give him another 20% on top of that once he does this middle buff here. Apparently I'm taking a minute to think about it. So, and that you saw that Dark Trooper went and assisted because Range Trooper called him to assist because of his unique that I pointed out. So now we have Dark Trooper. He can go and punch Sith Empire Trooper, or he can loop his turn meter if he wants. Instead, he is going to just punch him. And now Range just took a basic because, like I said, we don't want protection up. We do not want that buff. And Veers is actually not going to do his AoE here, because if he does that, it's going to potentially, if it crits Malak, then Malak is going to take a turn, and if he takes a turn, then not only does that disrupt our Imperial Trap buffs, because right now we have 8 stacks of it, we're doing an additional, 48% offense, 48% offense on Dark Trooper. So we don't want to disrupt that turn meter flow. We don't want him to take a bonus turn. We're just going to try to take out Sith Empire Trooper on our own. Finally, we took him out, and now, remember, we still haven't used the special on Range Trooper yet. So we're just going to march up, punch HK, and now we can use the special on Range Trooper. We'll take out Basti here. Again, we're not going to use the AoE on Malak until we take Basti out. And now we don't want to hit Malak because we don't want to get feared. We're just going to shoot at Darth Revan until we punch him. Now Malak did get a turn, but we can take him out. So we didn't even use the AoE from Veers this time, but we did get, this is max banners, well, close to max banners. This is, of course, before they changed the GAC format, so 65 is the new soft max. 50, or 60 used to be, though, for those of you who are pretty new to GAC and watching this like a year later. So, anyways, you can see how our turn meter our turn meter just continued to grow so that the opponent just didn't get a turn. You just have to manipulate it well. So you guys can watch tons of videos on my counter sheet. You guys can access the counter sheet in the video description as well. You can watch a lot of my videos have this counter. You use troopers all the time. You use them for a lot of things because if Piet is faster than it, there's a good chance that your troopers are going to be able to win. So, let's go one final thing. I want to talk about additional characters that we could potentially use with a troopers team. So let's do that right quick. Whoa, we're in the game. Never mind. So we've got these last few characters here. So Moff Gideon. He's got the cool stuff. He's the fastest. He's faster than Piet. You can see, under Veers, he is almost 400 speed. That's like Galactic Legend speed almost. And he is super quick. But, and then he can, if you're on offense, you can always just reduce everyone's turn meter, and I guess it's this one, reduce everyone's turn meter, everyone gets to go. This works decently in like territory battles or whatever. That he can be okay on that comp. He makes everyone be able to hit less. The thing is, works way better as a plug and play character. He works way better on other squads because he does the same things for other squads that he does for troopers, but with troopers he does less awesome things in general. So for instance, he reduces turn meter on the enemy team, except it doesn't always work against like against Vader. It doesn't work against Padme. It doesn't work, and it'll always reduce your turn meter. It just won't reduce theirs sometimes, and so sometimes you'll get in this awkward situation where it's just like, okay, well, he's faster, and he takes a turn, so he gives everyone an extra 10% turn meter, and sometimes that's enough. Sometimes you need him to be in there just to take that first turn to give Piet 10% turn meter, just to get Piet jump-started to the point where it works. But like against Darth Revan won't work if you're trying to reduce his turn meter because of Darth Revan's kit. And so even if troopers are faster, if he tries to reduce the turn meter on that team, then you just reduce your troopers' turn meter, but they stay the same. he gets older, they stay the same age. So, anyways, he's better on other teams, frankly. Sometimes you want him. Almost always you're going to be better off without him here, though. Death Trooper can work if you really, really want a death mark. This was especially relevant if you wanted to take out like Sith Eternal Emperor back in the day, but now troopers don't counter Sith Eternal Emperor anymore because he gains too much turn meter, because you're gaining too many locked buffs. Sometimes, though, you want to be able to increase their cooldowns with your grenade, or you want a death mark. If you want that, that's where he would go. He usually would replace Stark. You'd have to get him pretty quick as well to make that happen, though. So, unfortunately, doesn't have much use in the squad anymore. It's been multiple seasons since I've used him with this team, but I don't know, he can be nice, a nice shoehorn in every once in a while. Now, Shore Trooper is really nice if you're trying to clean up a Galactic Legend, and for instance, it's Supreme Leader Kylo. Kylo wants to go first, and he pokes someone. You don't want him to poke someone like Dark Trooper and stun him for 2 turns, because you're not going to get enough turns. He's going to wipe the team out after that. So, you have Shore Trooper go in, he gets poked, and then the rest of the team is able to, like, he can guarantee that he's getting poked first because he's got the pre-taunt, and then the rest of the team is going to be able to go. Now, keep in mind too, folks, that if you have a character that is not an Imperial Trooper or an Empire character, then if they take a turn, then the Emperor's Trap is going to stop. Everyone's going to drop all of their buffs. So it says whenever an Empire ally begins whatever they gain an Emperor's Trap until the start of the next enemy turn or a non-Empire ally's turn, which includes territory battles, guys. If you summon a droid or whatever, then that droid will disrupt your Emperor's Trap stacks. And I mean, that's a pathway to getting a huge amount of offense as well. 6% offense per stack, and you can get your stacks up to 40, 50%, or 40 or 50 large, and that is just a huge boost. 300% extra offense every time Dark Trooper punches. Yes, please. Seems ridiculous. So if you have a character that's a non-Empire character on your squad, though, eventually if they do take a turn, then you're going to have to restart those stacks. Worse things can happen sometimes, but for the most part, that is something to remember. So, anyways, I've walked through how to kill a lot of teams. You guys can see more practical examples. I've walked through the mechanics of the team, just a lot of turn meter gain. If you're fighting someone who shuts down turn meter gain, or they gain their own turn meter, then it can be a huge mess. Like CLS teams, for instance, will do a number on you because Han will go first, no matter how fast Piet is. He'll stun someone, and then it'll just disrupt everything from there. But anyways, that's about it, folks. Go forth and build your team. Go use the math that I showed you. And you don't have to have exact math. It used to be you had to have exactly perfect math to say, okay, Piet is this speed, therefore Stark has to be exactly this speed in order to bridge it, because the turn meter gap was so different, the way the turn meter operated. But I need to make a video on turn meter, actually, just to explain how that works. But now, as long as Piet is fastest, then you have Stark as, whatever turn order you have that you want. You just need to make sure that their speeds reflect that. You don't need you need to meet a minimum requirement to be able to bridge that gap of speed and turn meter. But then beyond that, like, Stark could functionally be one speed slower than Piet. And then if you want Dark Trooper to go next, he could be one speed slower than Stark, and Range Trooper could be one speed slower. Like, functionally that would work. Now, in terms of practicality, that wouldn't work. You couldn't really get Veers fast enough, but like, because of the way turn meter overflow works, that's how it works. So, like I said, I'll do a turn meter guide at some point, but I think that's about it, folks. Let me know if you have questions in the comments. I hope you can go forth and destroy noobs at will. And yeah, I guess we're calling it good. Guys, thank you all so much for watching. And remember that in all things, Zetas prevails.